Good afternoon, everybody. You're welcome to Talent Bureau's skill building webinar from job loss to job recovery. We are very happy to have you here, and we trust you will have a very, not just an entertaining time, but a very informative one as well. We know that currently there's a lot that's going on in the world, and we are doing our best and doing our little quota to contribute to creating a place where everyone can, learn something and be able to take advantage of the challenges that are going on right now and to create a better future for themselves. And that's why we started this webinar. So I said earlier, it's called From Job Loss to Job Recovery. And so we have two very important people here with us who will be discussing salient issues with regards to that. And we hope you take notes, ask your questions in the comment section. If you have any questions, just ask them. We will take them, as many as we can. We will be quick. But for now, it's 1:04, so we will be starting in a few minutes. We just want to have a few more people join us, then we start. So about 1:05, we will start. It's 1:04 right now, so just in a minute, we will start. Thank you very much. Please keep yourself on mute and stop your video. Thank you. You're welcome, Etiakam, you're welcome, Favor, and you're welcome, Jerry. Thank you for joining us and joining so early. We're happy to have you here. You're also welcome, Mr. Odumosu and Mrs. Akinteye. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. I think we should start because it's already 1:05.
Yes.
Ms. Akinteye, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I think Jerry said can't hear you. We just started. We were quiet before. Jerry just sent a message that he can't
Oh,
hear.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, I just saw it. Can't hear you. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, please put it in the chat. Thank you. All right. All right, let's begin. Our first speaker is Mrs. Akinteye. She's an accountant and a seasoned person. She understands what the complexities of this time, and she'll be able to, share some of the useful resources and useful information that you will be able to glean, especially during this time, to be able to set you up and get you ready for your next job. Even as you're moving from place to place, no one has a monopoly on how their life is going to go. Nobody says, I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing this job and I'm not going to ever leave. Sometimes we have to leave either by our choice or by economy or whatever. You know, the purpose of this webinar is to ensure that we make those changes in a smooth manner that can help us, you know, leverage on what we have to get to where we are going. So, Mrs. Akinteye, over to you.
Thank you very much, Samuela, for the brief introduction. Yeah, a lot of introduction has already been done by Samuela, and then we'll just be going right into the session, from job loss to job recovery. I'll also be touching on the things that would probably happen before the job loss, occurs. And Felicia, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So this is what I will be, talking on: dealing with emotional pressure, how to manage your sanity, how to deal with financial pressure, because there is nobody who loses his or her job that would not go through the financial pressure when you don't have income coming in anymore. And also dealing with debt. Some people have gone into debt and then they are out of job. They need to understand how they can manage the debt. And then find your 4 financial pillars. We're going to look into that. Creating other streams of income when you have lost your job, and setting yourself up for success. These are the things that we'll be discussing at this point of this webinar. Felicia will handle the other part of the webinar. Next, please. And then, so the first part of this, webinar, like I said, handling emotional pressure. And emotional pressure from the word emotions. But I want to talk about what you need to do before the job loss occurs. Like Samuela rightly mentioned, there is no job security anymore. There is no job perpetuity. You can't be on a job and think that you are going to be on that job for eternity and say, okay, this is where I'm going to retire. There's nothing like that, because you could have several factors that could affect your job. Just like we have the pandemic, you can have economic crisis, you can have the government regulation changing and is affecting that particular sector. You can have the company liquidating or going into bankruptcy. Anything can pose a threat to your job, especially in the private sector. In fact, sooner or later, you would have the government parastatals joining in terms of job insecurity. So there is no job that you can be on forever. I want us to, understand that aspect and, have it at the back of our minds to know that we need to plan. So basically, you need to plan for job loss. It is not, so it's not time for us to say, God forbid. If you don't plan, like we know, one will fail. So planning is very, very critical. What happens? So you have to create those scenarios. What if? What if analysis? What if I lose my job? What if the company goes down? What if there's a government regulation, change in government regulation? What if? And then you need to answer those questions by planning. Now, how do you now deal with emotional pressure when there is a job loss, when the risk of this job loss crystallizes? Number one is for you to accept the fact that there is a job loss, because a lot of people do not accept that fact. Facing your, keeping your sanity, you sit down, relax, take a deep breath, understand and accept, that reality. Manage your emotions, and then looking at entitlement mentality. When the employer says, XYZ, whoever it is, you guys are being laid off, and then, even if they're going to do an outplacement training, you need to take it to heart And don't, exhibit, entitlement mentality and start saying, oh, the company, they are not supposed to have laid you off. They're not supposed to have done that. You have worked with the company for 1,000,000 years. No, 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 no. Forget about that. That is entitlement mentality. Just face the reality. Face the brutal truth of job loss. I mean, it's a brutal truth that we all have to face, that people who have lost their jobs have to face. There's nothing you can do about it at that moment. The only thing you have to do is to sit back, accept the facts, begin to do a self-appraisal, or what I would call a situation analysis. You can even go further by doing a SWOT analysis. Analyze yourself. So you identify your strengths, you identify your weaknesses, you look at the opportunities in the market, you look at the your own opportunity as a person in the market, and then look at the threats that your profession is faced with. Let me give you an instance, like typical information regarding the AI, artificial intelligence, replacing the accountant. So you begin to think outside the box and begin to think, okay, what if artificial intelligence replaces my job? What am I going to do? How do I sort it out? What are the available options? You have to look at asking those questions while you're doing the SWOT analysis. Am I in the right career? Would this being an accountant or being a lawyer or whatever role you are playing in the organization, a finance person, a purchasing manager, or a salesperson, is this what I would have loved doing? Is this what I like doing? Do I enjoy doing this? Could I even be in another career? Would I want to pivot into another career? So these are the questions that you ask. What are the options available to you? Next slide, please. Okay, and then which goes further, I have actually mentioned this area, redefining yourself, reinventing yourself. So it's like the 4 hours that we're going to be looking at is redefining yourself. You reinvent yourself. So recreate yourself. That is what I mean by redefining yourself. Reinvent yourself. Identify who you are. What are your strengths? What are those areas that you can play well in? Begin to rethink your career. Like I said earlier, is this what you want to do? Is it the career you? So many people, I've seen a doctor become a finance specialist or become an accountant. Totally separate profession. I've seen engineers pivot into accounting because they lost their job, and they began to think, I don't think I like this profession. I think I need to go into it. So you begin to think, you begin to reflect on your learnings. Now, what do I mean by reflecting on your learnings? I have a friend who used to, offer a community service, help organizations to handle their corporate social responsibility in the organization. And he left the job only for him to go into farming. And that was the area he wanted to do. He went into farming, and at the same time, he was offering companies or firms who were also interested in carrying out corporate social responsibility. He was offering them consultancy as an individual, and he left the job. And so what he did was he turned his learnings in that organization into a money-making machine, and that is the aspect we're looking at. So you assess the value you added to the previous organization. What value did you add to the organization? What role were you playing? You need to turn it around for your own good. And the question is, what do you love doing? What is that thing that you do very easily? Next, please. Okay. Alongside it, we are looking at giving yourself time to adjust. I mean, there is no time for pity party. There is no time for you to wallow in. I mentioned earlier on, just accept the fact that you have lost the job, write out your feelings, accept the reality, look at the silver lining. I'm going to go fast on this one. Let's look at the next slide. So these things are the things you need to do to adjust your emotions. We know that a number of people will slide into depression because they have lost their job. It's not time for you to begin to, to beat yourself up. Like I said, it's time for you to wake up. Even if you're single, for those who have families to take care of, you have family to feed. So you need to wake up to the responsibility, wake up to the fact that there has been a loss. Yes, next please. The other part of it, which is also emotional instability or dealing with emotional instability is your sanity, your mind, things you will need to do as a person. I love sports, and most times when after work, during the week on Saturdays I go for swimming. That was before COVID. So after the swimming, I become rejuvenated. I'm excited, I'm happy, and everything gets sorted out. I'm relaxed, so the pressure is low. Whatever you can do to ease off the tension, listen to music, dedicate more time to attending to those areas. I know some of us will feel that and say, oh, I couldn't read my book. I couldn't read books while I was working because I needed to take so much time to focus on my job. Oh, I couldn't do extracurricular activities. Oh, I couldn't focus on my hobby. Oh, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. Now that you are out of job, you need to sit down and re-strategize, begin to rethink. Not time for you to sit down. So that's a way to maintain your sanity. Listen to music, dance if you need to dance. Attend trainings to help you to improve yourself. You see, one issue which Felicia is going to really dwell on is how to retool yourself for a career, to move on to the next phase of your career after a job loss. So it's just like reskilling yourself again. If you are sitting down and you are still in depression and you want to slide down and begin to think about it, you won't be able to do what you need to do. So go after your development in a different way. And the next one, please. So you go after your development in a different way. This is a time for you to start. This is a time for you to, build relationship, your family. You used to work from, you leave the house 5 a.m. and you get back home 9 p.m. Your kids have gone to bed. You don't have time to call your parents. You don't have time to call your friends. You don't have time to reach out to people and have a chat. Now is the time for you to reconnect. Now is the time for you to reach out to people. Now is the time for you to spend more time with your family, spend more time with your kids, with your spouses. Spend time, reach out to your extended families, and then, get closer, to them, check on them, maintain relationship, build new relationships. This is the time for you to laugh more. This is the time for you to joke more. This is the time for you to sleep more so that you can think better. I am not a proponent of sleeping 4 hours in a day when a human being needs at least 6 to 8 hours to sleep. Sleep is very important, and that was why God made it so. Another part that is very critical is for us to get closer to God. Whatever your religion is, however you know how to serve God, to get closer to God, this is the time for you to get closer to God. So God could reveal the areas He wants you to deal with, the areas He wants you to do, or the areas that He wants you, to tap, from. Next slide, please. So and then He reveals Himself, to you. You have to be proactive. I've mentioned all these things. Let people know you are available for new roles. But for you to be available on new roles, you must have improved on your skill. We have a number of roles that are available currently. We want you to also reach out to us on LinkedIn, connect with us. We have so many roles. The only problem is that we are unable to get the right fit for the right job. So we have a particular role to fill, and then people applying don't have the requisite skill or competence to do that. So out of job, you need to build on that. Improve on your skill. What else can you do? How can I leverage on technology? How can I leverage on this so that I can meet up with the network? Financial pressure. So as soon as you are done with yourself, you have realized that yes, this is it. I've lost my job. There is no point for you to panic. This is the time where you press the panic button. You turn it off. Turn off the panic button so that you can be able to sit down, relax, and take decisions. Now, this is not the time for you to take hasty financial decisions. I know a number of us, maybe they lose their job, they begin to think, how am I going to get liquid cash? How am I going to, quickly turn anything that I have into cash? You have to, manage your emotions, calm down, rethink, and then begin to look at what you do. I would give you a real life scenario. Years back, like 15, 20 years, back, my husband lost his job, and he quickly, put himself together And can I tell you what business he went into? He went into wood exportation. He just quickly said, what can I do? What can I do now? What is available? What is around me? You know, we have big forests, we have people doing, and he quickly joined and he began to export wood. Anyway, that was when the law of cutting down a tree and planting one was involved. But it's just a typical example of, you know, putting yourself back, you know, on the job so that you can meet up with your financial obligation. Start looking for work immediately. Start looking for work. There's no time, like I said, for you to eat yourself off and begin to wallow in it. Start looking for job. Felicia is going to look at how you're going to dust your CV, what are you supposed to do to be out there. She's going to deal with that. Reassess your career. You need to, I've said it before, do a SWOT analysis. Identify your strengths and your weaknesses. Identify the opportunities that are before you. Identify, you know, the threats you have in the industry. If you are a finance person, I know I've been saying finance, but that's the one that comes to mind easily. You think of what are the areas that are needed: forensic accounting, forensic audit, investigation. This area is so needed because a lot of things are happening in the organization and they don't know how to, you know, identify internal control. You look at software, you're an IT person. How do we leverage? I mean, online is digitization has taken over. How do I know that there are so many software developers that don't even know how to do things online? It's so amazing. I've met a software engineer who cannot, you know, really do anything like digital marketing, does not know anything about designing a website. I mean, it's so it means the person is so laid back. So you need to improve. Tap everyone you know for job leads. Just reach out to people. Oh, I'm out of job. I need a job. In case you hear, put your ears to the ground on my behalf. And that was why I talked about network. Avoid ill advice, short-term decision making. Like I said, don't panic. Don't start selling things off. I will also mention that if you must sell something off, you must reinvest it. You're not selling because you want to consume the money. You're not selling it to eat up the cash. You are selling an asset because you're going to, reinvest it in a liquid asset, something that will be generating returns on a daily or a weekly basis or a monthly basis for you to still maintain. Next one, please. For you to maintain yourself and maintain your lifestyle. Yes, create a spending plan or budget. You need to create a budget. You need to identify how much am I going to spend in every month? How much is even coming in? Is there any, if you were totally dependent on salary, so you know that income is zero, but you have a certain amount of money in the bank. How long will this amount of money take me till the time where I get, you know, something out to get money? If you want to sell off an asset, a liquid asset, you say, how long is it going to take? Then you go to the point of costs, cutting down on all unnecessary expenses. Some people just travel anyhow. Some people, you know, just buy things and they don't need for time. You need to cut down your expense. Begin to identify what area do I have to cut down. Unfortunately, like I said, the brutal truth of job loss. If your children will have to change schools because they were in a private school before, you need to, go down a bit lower and still offer them, the quality education. You might have to do that, probably the cost, because there's no point you waiting and then thinking. If you're thinking of how you're going to meet, it's going to affect your ability to move on to a new job, to get a job, because you'll be emotionally destabilized because of money. Talk to your family. Exactly, you need to talk to your family. Tell them the situation on ground. I know a lot of people, when they lose their job, they hide it away from their families. They still wake up in the morning to go to work. Every day they still wake up to go. You're even spending money by going out again. If you actually don't have anywhere you're going to, now, the time has gone when you begin to go from office to office and begin to hand your CV over to people. You can do it online. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Connect with them on Instagram. Connect with them wherever they are. Consider government or private assistance. Yes, I know that one is not very, in Nigeria where we don't have social welfare, but we can still get that. Make retirement plans decision and manage your debt burden. Now you want to make retirement plan decision. You know you're the RSA plan. I mean retirement scheme account or your pension. We call it pension. You can actually access 25, percent of your retirement pension before you are 50, 50 years. After that, that's the only amount you can, access before you are 50. And until you are 50, can you now begin to access them in an annuity plan? So it could be on a monthly basis, they remain. So 75% you cannot access it. So have it at the back of your mind. After every job loss, you have about 4 months before you can access it. Another thing is for you to minimize your debt, but this is for those who have incurred debts. Next slide, please. Those who have incurred debts, how do you manage these debts? I know I didn't touch on the 4 financial pillars. Please, can you go back to that slide? The 4 financial pillars which you should be looking out for when you are trying to manage your finances. Food is important. Shelter is important. These 2 are the first 2 things that you must have shelter. And that is why I know in Lagos is an issue. If you have rent to pay and then you are out of job and there is no income again, food. These are the 2 important things: shelter and food, utilities and transportation. Now go to the next one. How do you now manage the fact that you have these 4 pillars and you don't have money? Number 1 is for you to reach out to your landlord. They are human beings, and say, can you give me 6 months for me to be, because I'm out of job and I won't be able to pay the rent I'm looking for. I know that in the next 3 to 6 months, I should get a job. Now you're saying this from the point of positivity, from the fact that I am not giving up hope. I am giving myself a target that in the next 6 months I should have landed a job, and then the job should pay me so I can pay you, the rent. Number 2 is for you to reach out to your creditors. If you have people you are owing, reach out to them. If it's a bank, you tell them that they need to restructure the loan, that you are out of job, you have the right to do that. Yes, if it's your creditors, you reach out to them and say you're out of job, this and this, can you give me so and so time, no interest anymore. So they need to stop your interest, so that the interest does not accrue on that particular. Then as soon as you get a job, and then there's communication. You're not owing somebody and you're sitting back without saying anything. You need to reach out to them even after you have agreed with them that they should give you time. You give them updates. Oh, I applied for this job, I've gone for this interview, I'm hopeful. And so they know that you are discussing with them. Contact all of them. Then now this is the point for you to stop all your credit cards, because I know a number of people who are in paid upon, people that work in the bank, we have loans already. Credit card, stop your credit card. Don't spend out of the credit card because of the interest rate that runs on it. Another thing is for you to sell assets. You can sell your car. Yeah, you don't need your car. And are the things that you should put in your budget. That money, you're going to sell your car for so and so amount, because you don't need a car right now. That is the money that you can, anything that is liquid, that when I mean liquid, I mean any asset that you can quickly turn into cash. Sell them. And then, like I said, you are not selling them to consume. You are selling it to reinvest them, because you have identified something else that you can do. Consolidate your debts. I've said that before. Shift all the higher paying interest to lower ones, so that you can consolidate your loan in one place. Next slide, please. Try to further manage and then as soon as you are done with your debt management, you now need to begin to think, how can I make extra cash? This particular information is not only for those who have lost their job. Before you lose your job, that's where job planning comes in. So you plan your job. You say, what if I lose my job? Is there any extra income I can get from somewhere? You have the interest. So at the end of every month, let's assume you were still on the job, you take out some money, even from the assets that you have disposed. You need to take out some money and put it on an interest paying investment that can give you on a monthly basis to keep you up and running. Fixed deposit, yes, I know the rates are low now, so this is not the time for you to actually invest in interest, income. But I can tell you that you have real estate and rental income. There are a lot of companies that are doing private placements currently, and I've seen the one that ranges from about 200 naira to 500 naira per share in terms of investing in real estate, and then you get your returns. Remember that rate up is something that continues for a long time. So you can invest on those, investment. Paper assets, I mentioned the shares, TBs, there are shares that that so many companies have boomed. During this pandemic, people are crying that companies are going down, while some companies are pushing higher and new ones are coming on board. New companies are being birthed. CAC is actually fully loaded with people bringing in applications that they want to register new company. But and people are complaining that there's pandemic. So the truth of the matter is seeing the good side of it and looking for opportunities and keying into those opportunities. The other part of it, the other type of stream of income you can look at is think. Like I said, do a SWOT. What do you like doing? How can you turn the value you were offering your organization into a money-making machine? Business. Identify a problem in the society. Identify a problem around you. Do you have a restaurant around you? Do you have food sellers around you? Food is something that people can never say, I will not eat today. I will not eat for 1 week. No, it must sell. You can look if you have passion in cooking. You can delivery service has become the order of that. Another problem. People can move around. We solve that problem of moving something from one place to the other. It's delivery. That's a new business. That's a business that is solving a problem. People that want to move around, how can they do that? So identify how your skill that you have presently, you can turn it into a business. People are going into agriculture. Agriculture, like I said, food is, if you're not cooking food, you can be producing food. If you're not producing food, if you're not into crop farming, you can go into livestock farming. In fact, I was just talking to one of my cousins who used to work before, and she's out of job, and between March and now she has started up a livestock farm. She showed me the picture and she said she has like about 100 birds now, and she's gradually going, and she said half of the 100 birds she got it on credit because of her credibility, and then the half is hers. So whatever she makes out of it, she's going to pay back. So you should be able to think about, look at from March till now, she has quickly turned it, and she was working in a bank, and she was earning high, so she was able to transform herself quickly and say this is because she has a family to take care of. Intellectual property income, this is where you have a skill. So this is your personal skill. Now you want to turn it into intellectual property, offering a service. Internet marketing, this is an area that is booming. If you can, work on yourself, go on a course and do something that relates to it. The next slide, please. I think this is the last part of exactly. So this is the last part of what I'm going to talk about. So we need to take charge. We need to take responsibility. We need to take everything in good faith, and then manage our emotions, and at the same time manage our finances. And I believe that while we're moving away from the job loss, and after the job loss, we'll be able to succeed getting another job. So Felicia is going to deal or dwell so much on how do I prepare myself as a person to get a job, to fit into the right job. How can I be the best fit for the jobs that are available? Because I can tell you, Talent Bureau, we have a lot of jobs on the line, and we are seeking for people to fill these roles. We are seriously seeking for people. So Felicia is going to tell you, how can you prepare yourself to fit into this role? Thank you very much. Please send in your questions in the chat box, and we will deal with that at the end of this session when Felicia finishes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Akinteye. That was a very enlightening session, and it was very interesting as well. I'm very sure that many of us were taking notes. We have several questions, and as she said, please don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat box so we can talk about them and we can answer those questions. Next thing that we're going to do now is we are going to take a poll quickly. I'm going to start that poll now. So I'll ask every one of us, please just take out time and answer that question now. Yes, so let me launch the poll so everyone can be a part of it.
So please take out time to fill out the poll. It would help us feel each person's pulse. And it would also help you realize what you need to do to overcome whatever challenges you're facing regarding job loss or regarding getting a new job. And then we'll continue once we're done with the poll. I'm just waiting for Samuela to launch the poll.
It's launched already. You should see it on your screens now. I can see it.
Okay, because I can see, maybe because I'm sharing my screen.
No, the host and the panelists can't vote.
Okay, all right.
I can see. So you can continue, Felicia.
Okay then. So while we go on with the poll, when the results come out, we'll share. Amaka has been talking about how to handle the job loss, your emotion, your finances, and this will not be complete without telling us what exactly we need to do. Because if your CV is not correctly structured, if your CV is not optimized, whatever emotion you manage will just come back right into your face. So the skills that companies are looking for now, based on LinkedIn Learning, there are like 5 soft skills and there are 10 hard skills. There's creativity on the soft skills part, there's persuasion, there's collaboration, there's adaptability, and there's emotional intelligence. And there's nowhere I have checked. Everywhere I do a search, every time I do a research, I'm checking for skills necessary for the future, skills necessary for the next 20 years. One constant thing I see is emotional intelligence. And then after emotional intelligence comes collaboration. We all have to work with more than 2 people, more than 3 people in different locations. So all these skills are necessary. You need to be very, very creative. What works in Nigeria will not work in America. What works in America will not work in any other location. So we have to, be ready to improvise, do things differently, do things in different ways. And then there are the hard skills, which is blockchain, cloud computing. These are just things you need to learn about based on LinkedIn's research. Though some of them may not apply to Nigeria, but for those of us who are working outside of Nigeria, collaborating with other people in different countries, we need all these skills. There's business analysis, affiliate marketing, sales, business development should be on this list, video production, because that's what everybody's using now. Every time you do a webinar, you need to record, you need to post on YouTube. This is all video production. So I'm going on to the next slide, which talks about skills. Those were just based on the research, but we're bringing it back home now. In Nigeria, wherever you work right now, you need to be adaptable. If you look at the last slide, adaptability is part of the skills, the soft skills. So you need to know how to be tech savvy. Creativity, innovation is another constant thing that is here. Data literacy. We can't do anything without data. Even when you go for webinars, your phone number is needed, your email is needed so we can communicate, so that we can all reach out to each other. Data literacy, critical thinking is necessary. Digital marketing skills are very necessary. Now that there's social distancing, all we do is we communicate on a digital level. Coding skills are also necessary for those who want to develop websites. Leadership skills are also key. For anyone to employ employees now, all they ask for is, can you lead? You have interviews where people are asking, how many people report to you? Or who do you report to? It's just to test how well you can lead others. Emotional intelligence is here again. And these are all lifelong learning skills. They are necessary. Negotiation skills are also very important for us to move ahead in any area of our life. So identifying jobs in demand. These are the jobs in demand right now. There may be more, but we're focusing on these particular job skills, these particular roles. Healthcare and insurance are recruiting now. FMCG is recruiting. Agriculture, food processing, retail, real estate is recruiting. Customer service roles are being filled. Digital marketing as regards e-commerce. Data analyst roles are being recruited for. Transportation, logistics, because people need to get from point A to point B. People need to deliver goods, even though we're not moving around. Goods are moving around. Medical supply services are, recruiting. Doctors, nurses, IT and telecoms, government and public service, sales, business development, because we are all selling. Every organization right now is selling. Real estate, doctors, accountants, everybody needs to get out there to create awareness for their brands. Procurement is also a role that is in demand right now. So who is hiring and who's firing? Based on talent lift, these are the companies that are hiring and the ones that are firing. So we have shipping and delivery companies are hiring right now. Grocery stores, delivery services, online learning companies are really, really selling now. Most schools now are operating learning rooms online. So a lot of them are recruiting for teachers, a lot of them are recruiting for online facilitators. Remote communication services are also hiring extensively. So how do you maintain all this? Yes, you know who is hiring, you know who is firing, you know what skills are needed. You also need to leverage your network. Who do you know? Who can refer you to a particular job? We have so many roles to fill, like Amaka mentioned before, but these roles can't be filled if we're not reaching out to the right candidates. This role can be filled if we're not getting the right referrals, if we're not posting on the right social platform, or if we're not using the digital tech that we have right now. So right now, you need to know who to reach out to get a job. You should be contacting recruiters directly. Prioritize referrals, because with referrals, people have a better understanding of what you can do. People have a better understanding of your skills. People can refer you, they can recommend you for roles. We've had to fill a few roles, and most of those roles we have filled have been based on referrals. Yes, you see people online, you meet people online, but if you cannot tell the character of a person or the attitude of a person or the kind of work ethic the person has or the attitude generally, nobody would want to hire you. So professional network is important. LinkedIn has over 500 million users. So even if you're on LinkedIn, you need to capitalize on your LinkedIn network. Get someone to refer you, get someone to recommend you. When people post things on LinkedIn, you don't just like it. Make comments, relevant comments, sensible comments that would help someone else get a job. Maybe someone has posted a particular job. You can just recommend someone so that whoever is recruiting for that role would see the name of the person and reach out to the person. I've had to post a few roles on LinkedIn and I said, I'm looking for a particular person for a particular company. And someone just nicely put somebody's name and the role was filled. So these are things you need to do. Reach out. Don't just stay on your own. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is complete and up to date. I'm going to carry out an exercise at the end of this class where just Google yourself and find out what you find out about yourself online. What do you want employers to say about you? Connect with as many professionals in your network as possible. We establish relationships with old colleagues, with schoolmates. When you go out, let people know what you do, not out of pride or out of showing up, but out of getting something done concerning your career. So opportunities may never come through unless you ask. So things you may never even think are possible. By the time you reach out to someone, as you go to the salon, as you go to church, as you do your own thing, just reach out to people. You never can tell who is looking for a particular role to fill. So still on leveraging your networks, use social networks as much as possible. Reconnect with your old friends. Write blogs, post ideas, post articles, relevant articles, not necessarily bad news. Even in the midst of the bad news, we still have good things happening. So why not focus on those good things happening? Especially, you need to reach out to recruiters, reach out to organizations if you can. Get someone to recommend you. Contact recruiters directly, I mentioned that, and introduce yourself. You don't just send something to someone you haven't met before. There should be a form of introduction, either on LinkedIn. Let them know what you do, let them know what you have done, let them know what your interests are. Send your profile, send your CV. Contact companies you admire by email. For example, you may have a particular organization you want to work with. With the social media and social exposure we have now, you can reach out to organizations. Who can tell? There may be somebody they're looking for. Recruiters want to be sure you're persistent. So once a recruiter reaches out to you, give feedback, reach out to them as often as you can. So demonstrate that you are keen and that you are professional. That is what recruiters are looking for. So still on leveraging your network, if you can show your positivity right now, it is what people will never forget. So even though there's bad news, there's the issue that people are losing their jobs, people are not getting jobs. If you are there and you're sharing good things about what's happening around you, it proves that you're a positive person. It shows that you can change any situation. It shows that you have good things and you have value to add to organizations. So employers are looking to hire positive people. Everyone who is looking for a solution or everyone who has a solution will definitely be hired, especially in these hard times. So energy and positivity is important as you begin to redefine yourself, as you begin to manage your job loss emotion. And then when you're having conversations throughout the hiring process, the energy you have is important. You can imagine now most interviews are being done online. So how do you want to portray yourself as someone who's energetic? If they're talking to you, I know you're doing is saying yes, no, you need to communicate. You need to show that you have passion. You need to show that this thing that you're being interviewed for is something you can actually do. So follow up with a call, follow up with emails. Don't be too persistent in it, as a lot of recruiters and a lot of hiring managers have a lot on their plate. But just strike a balance. Do your follow-up and then hold back. So you need to set yourself apart. How do you set yourself apart? How do you stand out? When 100 candidates or 1,000 CVs have come in, how do you be the one who will be shortlisted? This is very easy. Your resume should not look like everyone else's resume, because 100 people have applied for the job. If your CV or resume is looking like everybody's own, then you get lost in the crowd. So there must be something different about your resume, and it all boils down to your story, but I'll get to that part as we go along. So know how to promote yourself. Don't feel that you're being bashful. Don't think that you're putting anybody down. It's the motive that counts. You're looking for a job. You've got the skill. You've got the experience. Push that out. Know what your areas or subject matter of expertise are. I always tell people, when you wake me up in the middle of the night, what am I talking about? I'm talking about recruitment. I'm talking about getting a job. I'm talking about how to add value. And that is what you should be able to discover about yourself. Don't be boring on paper. You will not always have the opportunity to be interviewed face to face. Most of the time, somebody just wants to see you, somebody just wants a phone call. From the phone call, somebody should be able to connect with you through your smile or through the way you answer questions. Identify and communicate your competitive edge in the job place. Most of the time, when CVs come in, either through automated means or not, you're being contacted. Imagine you calling someone, the person just says, hello, like the person is just getting out of bed. It may be a turn off, so you need to be energetic, like I mentioned earlier. Be observant, know the personality of the interviewer. And as I always say, interviews are two-way communication. The person who's been interviewed is being monitored and being observed, and the interviewer is also being observed. So at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. What problem are they trying to solve? So as you're going for an interview, you should have done your research. What exactly is this company looking for a marketing manager for? It's not that they can't do marketing by themselves, but there's something you can do that they cannot do. That's why they've come out and they're looking for you. So you should be able to exceed expectations all the time. Yes, you're applying for a customer service role or you're applying for a digital marketing manager role. What else can you do? What extra solution can you provide? Something that has never been done before. The reason why you should have done your research. This is how things are being done here. But if you come up with a better solution, even if people are being let go, you will not be, let go. It happens, yes. It happened to the best of us. And I think we're in the best position to tell you how to survive a job. So you need to also invest in yourself. Yes, you missed it this way. What else can you do to make it right? Join professional associations within your industry, even out of your industry. Hone your leadership skills. Because right now, everybody wants someone who can lead others. What kind of a leader are you? If you don't know what leadership means, do a read-up, do research, find out how to lead other people. Know whether you're a soft leader or someone who is a transformational leader or someone who is a transactional leader. You will fall into one particular category. Find a way to give the best to those who are coming after you. So learn a new language. I was mentioning to someone, I started learning French. I'm not there yet, but I just want something else There should always be something you're adding to yourself. You may be learning a new language, you may be learning how to ride a bicycle, maybe something else. Just do something different. And you must be ready to be adaptable and flexible. Be up to date on what is happening in the market. Who's hiring, who's firing, what roles are important. If you don't know anything about it, emotional intelligence, this is the best time to know about emotional intelligence, because you need to know how to manage yourself and manage other people. Study people, know what they like, know what they don't like, and you'll be able to meet everybody at the point of their needs as regards to the job. And then setting yourself apart, you need to get cross-cultural experience. Now there's opportunity for us all to volunteer. You can volunteer in different organizations across different countries. And then you begin to learn a lot of things. Through volunteering, a lot of us have learned softwares like Trello, like Slack, and you're communicating with people in different locations. Build an online profile. We're going to check each person's profile after this. Just Google yourself, find out what you see when you type in your name on Google. Is it coming up with LinkedIn? Is it coming on Instagram? Is it coming on Facebook? Is it coming up? What have you posted online that an employer will be attracted to? And then CV reviews should be done as often as possible. Every day we learn new things. And I always tell candidates, make sure you check your resume at least once in a month to be sure that whatever values you've added or whatever skills you've earned or you've learned is added onto your CV. And then research the company, research the position, research who is hiring, research what positions they're hiring for. Do you fit into those positions? There are times that you think you don't fit into the position, but by the time you train yourself and look at how you can learn new things, you'll find out that you can do most of the things for those positions. Rehearse possible questions. They're going in for maybe a salon manager role, a role we recently closed. What are the probable questions you'll be asked? Carry out your research. What are the problems? What are the solutions you can prefer in a salon? Rehearse possible questions. Expand your skills. Don't just stay as customer service or sales. Get other skills. Digital marketing is very key now for even as an MD. Everybody needs how to handle digital marketing. Develop marketable skills like reading, writing, speaking, and then quant skills are like numeracy skills. So that you can look at a graph, look at a particular calculation or maybe financial, and you can tell or analyze what it's all about. So still on setting yourself apart, when you're interviewing, the key things you need to be careful about: your appearance, your storytelling. If you're a leader and you cannot tell whoever is interviewing you how you have led people in the past, what solutions you've preferred in the past, what roles you have played in the past as a leader, I'm not sure that role will come to you. I'm not sure you'll be able to move on in your career. Know yourself. What do you sound like on phone? Do you sound drabby? Do you sound unprofessional? Most of the time, do like a recording of yourself. We all have phones. Just do a recording and you can work on it and perfect it. What do you look like on video? Do you look professional? What do you look like, on your last job when someone does your research or someone does a background check? What was your performance like? It's not always about, I need a job. It should always be about, what value can I add? How can I help this organization move from point A to point B? And then when you get on the job, continually exceed expectations, not only doing interviews, not only when looking for a job. Encourage and support others. That is what people will remember. When it's time to let go of 100 people or even 10 people, they remember that, oh, Amaka did this last week, we can't let her go. Or Samuela did this last week, she can't go, she added. So you need to consistently add value, exhibit those social skills so that when it's time to let people go, your name won't even come up in the first place. But if it happens, you'll also find a way to get a better job by setting yourself apart. So use this time, build relationships on phone, on WhatsApp, on LinkedIn, just keep building the relationships. Reach out to people, optimize your resume for ATS passing. It's also important. We'll go into more details of this, and the video applications are very necessary now. Get out of the box, do things differently. Don't put yourself in the box. There's a magic in relationship building. And then it helps you succeed. When you manage relationship, people can just recommend you, oh, I know this person to fill a role, I know this person to handle this. So webinars and online meetings have come to stay. We don't know how long it's going to last for, but right now, this is what is working for employers, this is what is working for employees. And I'm not sure if everybody knows that there's a difference between resume and CVs. A resume is usually a brief summary of all your skills, all your experience, and it's usually 1 or 2 pages. And then it's always amended to suit a particular role. For example, as a recruiter, a role may come up and you think, oh, I think I want to do this talent management position. On your resume, you can tweak it to suit the talent management role. You can even tweak it to suit a talent acquisition specialist role. They're all the same, but maybe different names. So that's what a resume will do for you. With your resume, you can apply for 1 or 2 other roles that are similar because the tasks and the responsibilities you've done in the past are quite similar. And I'm not talking about just changing from customer service to maybe sales or something entirely different. It's something you can just tweak to suit a particular role within the same space. So a CV is more detailed and can stretch beyond 2 pages. It can be 10 pages, it can be 9 pages, it can be 20 pages because it has all your qualifications, certifications, schools attended, date of birth, everything can be on the CV. And then a CV remains the same no matter what you do. You can't change it like a resume. And the changes made in them can be reflected in the cover letter. So those are the major differences between the CV and the resume. So ATS passing is just analyzing. When you optimize your CV for ATS passing, it means some particular keywords, qualifications, and the role titles, job titles are listed on that CV so that when it's going through the application tracking system, it's easy for a search to be carried out and then your CV comes up. For example, you're applying for the role of digital marketing manager. There are keywords we expect, like digital associate or marketing or digital or data. You know, there's some particular keywords we want to see that will show that you have done a particular role before. So ensuring that and then the ATS person also ensures that your CV is reviewed and then it is properly dissected. You can do search maybe according to number of years of experience that you have, or maybe age or level of exposure to a particular role. So once the information is recognized and is sorted, it will help put your CV or sort it in the right place or help pick it up for a particular role. So once the CV is uploaded and it has the right keywords, ATS passing allows whoever is doing a search, analyze properly, search and pick the right CV. So this is just a summary of what ATS passing is all about. So ensure that your CV is optimized for ATS passing. And then to optimize your resume, ensure that you have the right file type. If a job is posted and the instruction is, please upload your CV in Word doc format or PDF format, kindly ensure that that is what you have done. Because most of the time, any other form of file type would not pass through the ATS passing. Your CV will not be selected, and then you will not be shortlisted. So avoid images when instructed, when required. Some roles tell you put your picture, put your face, because maybe it's a media role or it's a job for a digital marketing specialist, but always ensure that you follow instructions. Avoid charts, avoid fancy graphics, except it is necessary. Then check spelling grammar. Imagine someone is searching for digital marketing manager, but your CV has dig, and maybe you didn't spell it correctly. Definitely the CV will not be selected. So always check for grammar, check for font size consistency. If someone is looking at the CV and the fonts are different, for me, I think it's inconsistency, and then it doesn't show that you have eye for details. And those are the things you look at for. Imagine 100 CVs have come in, and it just has a lot of typos. Definitely that CV is going to be set aside, and then CVs with the right spellings will be the ones on focus. So keep important details of headers and footers. We don't want to know the state of origin. We don't want to know the age. We don't want to know anything, as long as what information on the CV is relevant for the role. And then longevity of role or position is important. Now, recruiters and employers look out for people who have spent a minimum 3 to 4 years or even 5 years on the role. It shows that you're dedicated. It shows that you're focused. It shows that you're not job hopping. So longevity is the length of time you spent on a particular role. And whether I like it or not, as a general rule, any job you have not kept for more than 3 or more years is considered an example of a CV that doesn't have longevity. But if it has more, it is considered an example of a job that you stayed very long on. So your resume showcases either the absence of it, or the strength of it, of the presence of it. So you have to be sure, you know. But yeah, there are times you have to leave a particular role, maybe within 6 months, especially if it's a non-permanent role or if it's a temporary role. But you must have a reason for leaving a job earlier than planned. So match your resume's job title with the actual job. You cannot be applying for a procurement manager role when all you have done is maybe customer service or admin or something that is the exact opposite. But if you're going to be applying for maybe recruitment manager, talent manager, they're still almost the same. So customize your resume to the job description of the specific job. I'm not saying change your resume, but you may have done, like the example I gave before, talent management, recruitment, talent acquisition, they are all in the same areas of specification. So you can amend to suit for that particular role. Tailor your skills to match the keywords on the job description. If you're applying for a role where they have said the skills they're looking for are skills like negotiation skills, leadership skills, and then you know you haven't led more than one person before, you haven't even led anyone before, you're applying for that kind of role, it won't work. So always write a cover letter and address it appropriately. When I'm reviewing CVs and I see a cover letter, I put those kind of candidates, they've already stood themselves out, they're already setting themselves apart. So even if the particular role they've applied for is not something they qualify for, they'll be considered for other roles. So imagine just sending the CV, no introduction, nothing. Even the subject of the email has nothing. It's just creating too much work for whoever is reviewing your CV. Ideally, your resume should not be more than 2 pages. So if you can help it, try and make it 2 pages. At most, maybe 5 pages, but depending on what role it is. All whoever is recruiting wants to see are the basic things you've done, your past experience, how long you've stayed on the role, and some other very important things. So stick to simple bullet points. So if you're looking at having a CV of 1 to 2 pages, bullet points will help you. So maybe 3 to 4 bullet points for each particular role would help you summarize everything you've done, so that whoever is reviewing doesn't have to sit down the whole day and get inundated with checking CVs and they're just there. And then avoid having chunks of text. So if you're going to write like a paragraph about what you have done, I think a paragraph won't do justice. 5 bullet points or even 1 bullet point will do more justice to your CV. So video applications, soon, this is going to be very rampant in Nigeria, especially now that most of the interviews we've had have been on Zoom. So you may decide to just send a video recording about yourself, what you've done. This only shows that you have an effort. They are making an effort towards standing out, towards applying for this job. It reveals how much, communication skills you have. It also reveals the kind of communication style you have. It reveals the kind of personality. It reveals, will this person fit into our culture? Because they look at, okay, is this person talking like a professional? Is this person really saying what we want to hear? So don't recite your resume. Try as much as possible. They've already gone through your resume before you came for the interview. So just work from a basic script. Just tell them what you've done, how you did it, mention 1 or 2 points, and then build upon that. So video application that you're sending to any organization should be clear, should be audible. Ensure that the headshot is right. Plan and organize it, edit it properly. Your headshot should be, in the middle, not that half of the head is already off and then the angle of the camera is bent and you're wondering what exactly are you trying to communicate. It shows lack of organization. So you need to be very, very organized. So practice and repractice if you have to. Your body language also matters. If you're talking and then you're looking up, or it's also distracting whoever is interviewing you. So ensure that you've got the right focus, look professional, and talk like a professional. Make eye contact. Keep your eyes focused on the screen. I know that at times there are distractions, but just make whoever is around the house know that you have an interview coming up. Let them know what time they're going to be done, and then dress appropriately. No cleavage, no slouching on the chair, and then we don't want any form of distractions. Employers don't want to send from, except you can't really help it, because of course we're working from home, and there's little to how we can, stop distractions. And then most of the time, you need to promote yourself. I mentioned it before, not on the prideful side, but just show your skills. Show what you've done. Services you've offered on social media, if you're applying for a sales role, let it be obvious. Update and change your status as much as you can with the right information. A lot of us just post stuff, or whatever it is you're posting, make sure it's helping somebody, or it's letting an employer know that you're available for work, or it's making somebody know what you have to offer. Irrelevant things are not necessary right now. So apply for permanent and temporary or contract roles while you are waiting for the next job to come. Nobody's going to sue you, nobody's going to judge you for applying for a particular role. Go for the interview, ask, oh, you didn't stay so long on this role. Tell them, yes, it was not a permanent role, it was a contract position. And now that you are done with the contract, you're moving on to the next thing. I think that's a perfect answer. So subscribe to job alerts. There's LinkedIn, there's Glassdoor, there's Divex, there's Indeed. There's so many of these job boards that you can apply to. And then follow companies you're interested in. Follow them on social media, because that's the only way you know who's hiring and who's firing. Reach out to recruitment agencies. Join groups, join associations. Make your application stand out from the crowd by doing video applications. Stay connected. Post relevant information. Don't lose your learning and development focus. This is the best time to go for webinars, to do trainings. There's so many free trainings online. Read books, attend webinars, do Zoom catch-ups with friends, have a Zoom tea time, have a Zoom party, just reach out to people so that you're not just there depressed and you're thinking the world is over. There's always something to do. Initiate discussions about available roles on LinkedIn. If they want to post, oh, I'm this person, I'm looking for this role, please feel free to contact me. Post your CV. Nobody's going to arrest you for doing that. Seek advice when you require it. Communicate, reach out to other people. And then this is the second to the last time. You are the author of your own life story. Start creating the story you want people to read about. Start doing that right now, so that when it's time for you to move on to the next role, someone already knows what to offer. Someone already knows you. You are your own brand. When you start to speak, what do people see? What do people know about you? I know that once I hear Amaka, Akinteye, I'm thinking finance, I'm thinking business, I'm thinking idea generation. When your name is mentioned, what do people remember? Do they just remember someone who posts something on LinkedIn? Or do they remember, oh, I know this company is looking for a real estate director. Let me send your resume. That is how you should project yourself. So your prospective employer needs to hear your unique story, your voice, your ideas, your participation. What have you been active in? Are you an activist? Are you someone who just posts irrelevant things online? What is your experience? And then leverage every experience that will move you towards your career goals. Don't underestimate your value. Don't underestimate your worth. Understand what your value is. Do a SWOT analysis on yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? What are those threats you know? What do you really want from life? Why are you here? Why did you come for this webinar? What value can you add to whoever is watching with you? So all these things are really, really important for us to get on to the next level. I have had to lose my job in the past, and I know what it feels like to lose a job. I know what it feels like to be looking for a job. I know what it feels like to be changing your career. But until you make that deliberate effort to change and to do something different, you will not be able to move to that next level. So that's the end of my slides. I don't know if you have questions. Samuela, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Odumosu. I am sure we all got something from this session. It was very enlightening. It was very informative. One of the most common things I heard is the fact that a lot of people didn't know the difference between a CV and a resume, which brings us to our question session. And someone asked, what is the correct font to use for their CV? That's for you, Mr. Odumosu.
You are muted.
I'm not. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So someone asked, what is the correct font to use for your CV?
The correct font?
Yes.
There's no right or wrong font, but whatever font you're using, let it be a font that carries, that shows that you're organized. I'll give example. I always like using Century Gothic. I like using Arial fonts. I like using fonts that show unison. Sometimes when you do like a write-up, from the person's handwriting, for me, I can tell someone who's organized, someone who's disorganized. So even if you're going to use a particular font as your favorite font, let it be the same font all through. So there's no right or wrong font.
What of the size?
The slides.
size, the font size. What font size is acceptable?
No, just normal size. 11, 12 is fine. You don't want to use something too bogus. You're not doing a presentation. You're not selling anything. So there's nothing to emphasize. Your names can be bold, can be big on the header, and then maybe the title or roles you've done in the past, you can make those ones a little bit big or make it bold. But apart from that, every other thing should be. And then avoid all caps, because all caps means you're shouting. And those are the things, for example, if 100 people have applied for a role, and then your own CV comes in with all caps, of course, it should be kept aside. Let's just put this one there first. Let's look at the ones that are serious. And that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is particularly very important for us to unison. Unison in the CV is very important. It's one of those things, like you said, that helps the recruiter when they are sorting through CVs. And I particularly like what you said about getting a heading for your email, sending a cover letter. That extra work, it could be what separates you from, other people. There are a lot of people that are looking for jobs, a lot of people sending their CVs. But if an email comes to a recruiter, what's the first thing they ask is, okay, what role is this person applying for? If they can't see it in your heading, they can't see any cover letter, nothing to say, oh, this person is applying for this particular role. How do they know how best to sort for you? How do they know where you are relevant? How do they know your skills? So they have to start going through your CV and then think about all the roles and decide, oh, where do I place this person? And not everybody has time, or frankly, even and to allot that amount of time to you, it's not fair to allot all that amount of time when there are several other candidates who also need to be reviewed. So that's actually a very, very good point. That brings us to our next question. Someone asked, what do you do if you discover that your industry has a labor shortage? This is for you, Mr. Akinteye.
Okay, so let me review the question again. So the person is asking, there's a question that I think you missed. He said, in case where you have a skill and over the years you have not been lucky to be recruited, what do you do? And that's the question, Nyekachi. And so let me answer that one before I go to the next question. You need to do an analysis of yourself. Analyze yourself. What have you been doing wrong? Are you among those people who have been sending their, because I've seen emails, they just send CV. This is my CV. In fact, sometimes they don't even add anything in the body of the letter. They just, in the body of the email, just send in their CV. And to be honest, recruiters will pass it by. We wouldn't even bother looking at it. But the cover letter, so have you been doing that? Have you been applying, for the wrong job? Have you, in the terms of your skill not matching that job? Is there an area that you need to work on? Like I said during when I was talking, some people will apply for a role and we find out that there is a particular skill that is required on that role that is also important and they don't have it. So it's just like one tool missing in a toolkit. So that is where you need to go back and reappraise yourself as a person. What have I been doing wrong? Secondly or thirdly, you need to get feedback from these employers where you have, sent in your CV. Send them an email, ask them, oh, how did I do in the interview? Can you give me feedback? Every recruiter that you send your CV to, they are expected to give you a feedback if you have attended an interview. Why didn't I do well? What did I do wrong? That's constructive feedback. So it helps you to understand, what am I missing? Why have I not been getting a job? Why have I not been getting the jobs that I have been applied for? It is very, very important. So don't think you don't have the right to ask the recruiter if you have done an exam, you need to ask them, okay, what were the areas that I didn't do well in? And so it helps you to, to identify the areas that you need to work on. So you can't say that all the places you've applied for, you have not done well and then you don't meet the requirement. Why don't you meet the requirement? Why did they push away your CV. And don't tell me, like in the Nigerian way, that they are following me from the village. It's what you believe that, comes to you. And remember, I always say this: sacrifice without an objective is a waste of time. So if you are sending out your CVs just anywhere, and then you don't have, sometimes you call in some candidates and you ask them, what role are you applying for? They say, I can't even remember. I've applied to so many companies. Nobody has time for you to say all those things. They need you to be, responsive. So you don't just react to the situation. When you see, you just send it and you don't follow up. Samara, can you ask the next question, the one you asked earlier on?
It kind of ties into what the question that you're asking, and it says that, what do you do if your industry has a labor shortage?
Has a labor shortage?
Yes.
Then, like Felicia mentioned, you have to now distinguish yourself. They have labor shortage. Why are you not part of those people who have already been employed? Because they don't have. So there are two ways to answer this question. One is that there are no skills available to fit into that sector. So that is where you have shortage in terms of labor, in terms of people to take up that role. And that is where employability skills comes in, skill acquisition comes in. People need to now, improve themselves. That's a very, important question, and that's critical. I said, we have roles to fill, but we are not able to get the right people. So unemployment should be looked at from different perspectives. So unemployment can be the fact that you don't have the right people to fill role. You have the right people, but employers are unable to connect with the unemployed. These are the causes of unemployment in an economy. We don't identify the skills. We can't find, so employers can't find the people to fit into it. So that there's that disconnect between employers and employees that are the right fit. The second part is that employers have the job ready, but they cannot, identify the people. So those are the two areas. So, and then you as an individual, as someone who is out of job, or you're looking at changing your career or pivoting or changing your job, you must ensure that you have the requisite skill. I mean, Samela and Felicia, you can agree with me that there's a role that we're trying to fill, and we're just looking for people who have that certification. It's been so hard. Oh, you have the experience, but you don't have the technical, skill to do that job. No, it can't work, because we require people who have the hands-on experience to do the job. There's a difference between you going to school and getting an education, and then being on the job, having the hands-on experience, or even having the technical skill from your training, to do the job. I think I can also see a question that is still related. I think people are asking the same question. For someone who has been out of job for a long time, let's say 4 to 5 years, and intends going back to work, apart from reaching out to recruiters, what can they do? I think Felicia has really dwelled so much on it. Felicia, can you go back to what you said before, so that this person can actually, you are muted. Unmute yourself, please.
No, I had to wait for Samuela to mute me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can.
Sorry, what was the question? You said I should.
So the question is, for someone who has been out of job for a long time, let's say about 4 to 5 years, and intends on going back to work, apart from reaching out to recruiters, what else can they do?
One, I'd like to find out, well, I don't know if I can find out, what was the person doing before now? You said the person has been out of job for about 4 to 5 years, and now you want to get back to work. Apart from reaching out to recruiters, you need to develop yourself. You can't be at the same point you were 5 years ago now and think you can get back to work. You must have achieved 1 or 2 things. So it depends on what you were doing 4 years ago. Let me take, for example, you were a sales manager 4 years ago with a particular company. What roles are you looking for now? What have you done in the past 4 years to develop, reinvent, redefine, and improve upon yourself? That is very important for you to even reach out to anyone. So whatever interview you are going to now, they will ask you, yes, you haven't worked for 4 to 5 years, fine, but what have you done to improve yourself? Another example, you may say, okay, I stepped out of work because I had a baby, or I had to go for my master's, or I had to do 1 or 2 things. What were those things you were doing? There must have been 1 or 2 things you've added to yourself that will make it easy for someone to take you on. Are you stagnant? Have you plateaued? Have you improved upon yourself? Those are the important things you need to take cognizance of before you begin to look for a job. And that's the honest truth. Have I been able to answer that question?
Yes, I believe so. Well, I think, Mr. Akinteye, do you have anything to add?
Okay, Felicia also mentioned the fact that I want to give a real life scenario of an interview we were doing. We're interviewing for a particular role, and we found out that this lady has been out of job since February. Only for us to ask her, what have you been doing since that time? She said she took a certification that was related to that course. It was a real estate, real estate role, and she did PMI. That was what she did for 6 months. She said she's just getting her. So it's adding value because of that certification, because of that added value, she got the job. And she had the time with the client. The client said, oh, I'm taking her. She was the only one because she took time to, add value to herself. Another thing was we had an interview with sales people. We're looking for a general manager for sales. And the guy has been out of job because of the COVID. The question is, what have you been doing? And he says he's been doing consultancy work for people. It's in the health sector, for companies who want to start business in Nigeria because he's a certified, pharmacist. So he had to help them with registration of drugs and things like that. And he was making money. So this is another area that the company can say, oh, okay, so if you can do that, maybe we can add it to our own product portfolio and, give that. So like she said, you can't be out of work and not do anything. You must be doing something. If you are not offering a service as an individual, your skill, you must be improving yourself on a daily basis. You can't just sit down.
All right. Before we go to the next question, please, if you have not filled the poll, please kindly do that. We are taking them. There's a lot that we're going to use to the answers to analyze. So we encourage you to please fill it. It's just 2 questions. The next question is from someone who says that some recruiters request for CV and cover letter and some don't. Must a cover letter be attached to every CV submitted? I think Ms. Odumosu, you can.
Some recruiters request for CV and cover letter. When it is requested for, submit it. When it is not requested for, submit it. You won't lose anything. So someone has said, apply for project director. I think as a project director, a senior role, you should have series of cover letters. It won't take more than a page. Edit it. Cover letters show that you are serious. Cover letter is just, as it is, a cover letter, covering whatever it is you're sending, so that even if the CV or the attachment is not opened, that cover letter is the intro. That cover letter is a seller that would show or convince anyone to open the attachment because they want to know more. Oh, this person has done this, so let me even open the CV. So if there's no cover letter, there's something to sell you, you start like maybe a 50-50 chance. So it's always good, whether they ask for cover letter or not. It may not even be a cover letter, it may just be like 2, 3, 4 sentences introducing yourself, what you've done. Why should I open the attachment you have sent? So it's always relevant. So my answer to that question is, it should be attached to every CV submitted. It may not be as an attachment, even if it's in the body of the email, it should be there.
All right, thank you so much. The next question is, okay, I think we talked about this one, how to manage finances after losing your job. I think Ms. Akinteye can handle that. How, and then what's the best way to make a transition to another industry? Since we discussed a little bit about that, I think you should just go right again.
Okay, so there are 2 questions in one. How you manage your finance and how can you pivot into another industry, right? So, and I listed a number of things that you need to do when you're managing your finances. So for those who have debts that they have accrued during their, working time before they were laid off, you need to reach out to your creditors and, ask them to hold on interest, if there are interest, and looking at the 4 pillars of finance, your shelter, food, transportation, and utility bills, because you have bills. The truth of the matter is that bills have to be paid because you have to pay it gradually. I wouldn't advise you to allow your bills to accumulate. Electricity bills, if you have water bills, you have to pay that. And investments, like I said, don't rush into liquidating investments until you have laid out a plan. You must have a financial plan and say, by the time I liquidate this investment, by the time I sell this car, I sell this land to keep me together within the periods while I'm trying to get a job. This is what I want to do with the money. Now, investing in yourself is also an investment. So if you liquidate an asset and then you say you want to take up more, education or more technical skill, that, see, you can even within the time, apply to a company to do internship or voluntary work, to work with them, to learn a particular skill. There's something you use that time to, and while you are managing yourself, I can tell you that there is no company, there is no good-minded company that will not say, okay, even if it's transportation, let me just even pay you. For those in the senior roles that have, are executives and they have lost their job, it's for you to find a way of converting that, value that you've been offering the organization before you were laid off into something that would generate money. Like I mentioned, consultancy. So you have a salesman who was going for a general manager role and was doing this job. So if you're going to be on your next job, going for the next job, they would ask you, what have you been doing with the time that you have been out of? So this is a way for you to get, financial, benefits to yourself. If you liquidate the investment, you have to reinvest it in yourself or in other liquid assets that will generate income for you, and reducing your expenses so that you can focus basically on the 4 pillars. Transportation, you should manage your transportation cost. If you used to take Uber or Taxify, start taking bus, because this is a temporary state. It's not going to last forever. You go back to start taking buses to reduce your cost. And then, so that's a way to reduce your, your cost. If you used to pay for DSTV, the premium one, you go down to the lowest one of 2,500. If you used to pay for subscription for a month in terms of internet, reduce it. Manage your electricity in the house. Learn, in this part of the world, we don't know what it feels to have electricity, to manage your electricity. Turn off the lights. During the daytime, you can see. Turn off the lights, switch off things that you don't need. That's how to manage. So you begin to cut costs. This is a way for you to manage your finances. Okay, so how you want to pivot into a new role? First of all, you need to analyze, because some people just say, this is what is going, this is what is involved. Everybody, let's go into it. Let me do it because somebody is doing it, you're doing it. Is this what you want to do? Do you have the skill? When I say the skill set, in terms of as a person, would you want to go into that role? Would you want to do the things that the people in that particular profession are doing? Would you want to work late night because it might require to work with numbers? Are you a number person? If you're not a number person, then you can't go. If you are an extreme introvert, you can't talk to people, and that particular role requires you to communicate very well with people, to talk with people, and you can't do that, then there is no point for you to pivot. So you need to analyze, do an analysis. Like I said, do a SWOT analysis of yourself before you decide to pivot into another role. Some people are actually in a career that they didn't like because their parents asked them to do that. So it's also a time for you to think, this is not what I love to do. This is what I would have loved to do. And then you quickly go into that, area. So I think I've answered that question. Samuela.
There's some new questions.
Yes,
Samuela,
we have.
Have we taken this before? Must you have experience on a job role?
No, we haven't.
No,
That's the question I was about to ask you.
Next question.
Oh, okay. He says,
yes.
Must you have experience on the job role? What if you believe you can learn on the job and you apply for it? I'll say 3 things. If you believe, since you don't have the experience, if by adventure the recruiter also believes that they should interview you, you would need to convince them during that interview that you can do the job, because you'll be asked scenario questions. If you're applying for a marketing manager, they'll ask you, what are the 5 C's of marketing? You don't have experience, you don't know what that means. You may not be taken for those. So if it's something you believe, maybe a customer service role that anybody can do, those are soft skills. Maybe an admin role that anybody can do, it's just about organizing, making sure the office is well run. For me, if you manage a home, you know how ACs run, you know how the TV run, you know how subscription for some services run, you should be able to manage an office. So in that case, you can. But there are some roles that no matter how you believe, you cannot perform on that job. So this question is very, very, it's dicey. So you can't just say, if you don't have experience, it depends. If you go for the interview and you interview well and you're a smart learner and you can deliver on the job, fine. But if not, it all boils down to you being able to convince the interviewer during the interview process.
Okay. So another thing again is, if the role is a graduate role, they wouldn't necessarily be asking for experience. So you are expected to learn on the job. But if the role is not a graduate role, place yourself in the position. That was why I was talking about entitlement mentality. That people say, don't they know that you will be looking for experienced people? How will I gain experience if I don't start the job? You can offer internship. That's why you have internship. That's why you have volunteer. So you become an intern and learn on the job. But if it's not a graduate role, it's difficult for you to get jobs that require experience, and you don't have experience and you believe. Like Felicia said, the employer may see something in you. That doesn't stop you from applying because you don't have experience. But if the employer sees something in you, we've had that scenario. In fact, there's a current employment that we're working on with a client, and the client says, this lady does not have the necessary experience, but there's something about her. There's something in her that I want to, there's something I want to tap from her. So I need to see her again. I need to meet with her. That is what we are talking about. You believing that you are the right person, for the job, and then you go for it. So there could be some other thing, a soft skill, your kind of person the employer would see and then say, I like this person. She has a teachable spirit. She can learn because of the way you comport yourself. And that is why it's important to comport yourself during interview. You have to be confident of what you're saying. We've had people who lie. Their CV, they lie. During interview, they lie. When they now meet the clients, they fumble. So you have to be consistent with what you're saying. You have to tell the truth. Don't fake it. Don't pad up information on your CV or on the cover letter. Yes, Amaka.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Odumosu and Mr. Akinteye. I'm very sure we have gained a lot.
Sorry, a question just came in. It says, when you are interviewed and asked what you can be paid, please, what do you consider before the answer, or how do you answer this question? It's always good to go from the basis of what you currently earn. So if I'm applying for a role and I'm asked, what do I want to be paid? I say, currently I'm on so, and I'll be grateful if I can be paid like maybe 25% more than that. Of course, you'll be going on the same level. Or you can say something like, I know this company has a structure, and with my experience and what I would add to, what value I would add to the organization, the structure will be okay with me. So they can make a proposal to you, they make you an offer, and then you begin to negotiate from there. But it boils down to what you were on, what value you can add, and what the company is ready to pay. I saw one more question here. Somebody just sent it to me. What do you do if you discover that your industry has a labor shortage? We talked about companies that are hiring, companies that are firing, what roles are being hired. There's always a way to pivot to have like a change or switch to a role. If your current industry is not recruiting, for example, you're a procurement specialist, what role is close to procurement? What role is similar to procurement? Depending on whatever role it is, you can slightly tweak or change or begin to learn things that would help you function in another industry. So if I'm a recruiter and I'm out of job, what other role can I do that is close to recruitment? I may think of maybe customer service, because it's about meeting with people. I may think of relationship management role. So I'm just giving that as an example, you know. So thank you very much for.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that extra information. I believe that we have all learned one or two things. I'm sure if you put your attention on the screen, you will see our contact information on social media and our email address and phone numbers. Please take note of them. If you have any further questions, please contact us. We'll be happy to take them and answer them to the best of our ability. If you're looking for a position, please follow us on LinkedIn. We regularly post job vacancies, so you can take a lot of the things that we've discussed today and utilize them to find that job. I believe we've all enjoyed ourselves and learned something. This brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
We are glad to have you.